years in Baghdad. I
Mhm.
started out on the high pro. We started up the low profile stuff. And the last year I was on the TST, the tactical support teams, where I was actually on the Nisour Square incident, which
That's right. Yeah.
led.
Hey, can you talk about that at all? Or is it still classified bullshit that could
No,
get in
no,
trouble?
there's no, it's all open stuff now, especially after Trump pardoned our boys.
Well, and I think you and I
Um,
have the same mindset too on that, where if you shoot, some guys shouldn't be there. You don't know how to hold your emotions together. Yeah, talk about that if you don't mind. I'd like to hear your side of the
Yeah,
story on that one,
for
brother.
sure.
well, with the Nisour Square things, and I'm sure you can remember too. Back in the day, I mean, a V bid would go off at checkpoint
Yeah,
12, and they were like, "All right, all missions canceled, shut
yeah,
it down."
yeah.
But it all goes down to who's the RSO. And I look at the Nisour Square thing, and I'm like, it should have been rolled back a little bit because everything started on September 9th.
Okay,
So September 9th, there was an attack at Adamant City Hall
okay.
where the advance team was there. The arrival movement team had just arrived. A grenade was thrown over the wall, which ensued a battle, firefight. TST teams went in, and all three TST teams were in. And over the years, as it evolved, from you call out a shoot on the radio to they actually make you take a day off. Well, we were at the take a day off break. Well, I got really excited about that being on TST because if we can't work, then no teams can work. And September 10th is my birthday. So I'm thinking I'm getting my birthday off for once. This is awesome. So, I mean, all missions, all moves were canceled for the next day. So we're all, barbecuing the night before, drinking beer,
Sure.
having a good time and stuff. And then next morning, middle of the morning, my radio's going off, get to the vehicles, suit up, a bird went down, and it just so happened we had a medium lift shot down on the way back from Hilla. They
Oh, wow.
recovered the guys, but they needed to send people back out there to sterilize this bird
Sure.
and
Wow.
tear it apart. So we sent guys in by helicopter on the ground. I was on the ground team. And then, of course, another firefight ensued over that. I think they finally gave us the next day off. They're like, all right, let's take a break. But then it all got fired up again on the 12th. One of the TST teams was out, and I believe they were over by Ministry of Finance, and they got hit with an EFP.
Wow.
So we were secondary that team that day. We were trying to get to them, and they took basically just injuries, no casualties. But at the same time, a team was coming back from BIOP to the green zone, just doing a motorcade, typical motorcade. I think it was like a 3 vehicle, I think, but they had a cat truck with them,
Okay.
Humvee. And when they got out, you remember back in the day, everybody just guns it down Irish as fast as we can.
Yeah.
On fire, let's do this. Well, they didn't think about the Humvee that's having a hard time catching up, So they right out the gate, they're on it in the Suburbans, and the Humvee's flying up.
Now, now they're all the same team though, right? Or is the Humvee an Army? Well, what the?
Nope.
Hey, team leader, what the fuck are you doing? Where's your
Well,
command and control? Was there no radio contact with?
I'm just going to go off of what I know, and basically they realized it and they started slowing back.
Sure.
Well, just before you get to checkpoint 12, heading into the green zone,
Yep.
You remember that old blown out building?
Yeah.
That was
Oh yeah, that was cool. I mean, you could always see it
always
coming in. Yeah, you'd always look at it. It was always going to get hit, or you were going to take sniper fire, or something was going to come out. But it was also cool just to see it every day. Yeah, that's one of the things you miss from going to these deployments is just a bomb shot up building that you might get attacked from. But even if you don't, it's still cool.
Cool
it's
to
like
see.
it's like yeah, that's like that's every day. Yeah, I remember it. Yeah, it's awesome.
So that's where they decided to slow down and wait for the Humvee.
That dude, since 04, since we knew that was like where you always watched, because that's where an attack was going to come, because it was such an easy place to set up in, because you couldn't see. Okay, what kind of quality of guys were you getting coming in?
You know what? I don't even know what team it was.
Jesus.
07 was a bad year. I mean, that was the surge. Everything was going down that year. Well, luckily the bad guys were so front sight focused on those Suburbans, they didn't see that lone Humvee hauling ass with that turret already rotated over, all the windows down, guns ablazing.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, they sent an ODA out to the building that was operating in the area, and it was nothing but bad guys laid out.
Wow, they cleared it out. I mean, luckily for them, yeah. Well, good thing. Luckily for them, God's always looking out for you, man. That Humvee was rolling up on, but good on the Humvee because that's what we would do. I remember everybody would always traverse to that building. We'd have a couple guys looking to the back because that's where the or Edinburgh Risk Groups guys got hit with that PKM in '05 from the other side. But yeah, I remember those days. So that's cool. They got what? So all this is going on. When did the Nisour Square thing pop up, and what happened? What was your
So a couple
involvement in it?
a couple days later, we were primary TST that day. And of course, being on the tactical sport teams, we had to be within 4 minutes of any team on the
Sure.
move. So it was just before lunch. We were staged at checkpoint 12. A movement team was going to a venue over by the Monster Mosque. They got on site, called secured. We're like, all right, let's break. Let's head back to the man camp to get lunch. And as we were going, I'm in a turret and of a Saxon. So I'm kind of bouncing in my turret, got my peltors on, just the wind in my face.
Tell everybody what a Saxon is. A lot of people don't know because it's South African. Is that right?
I think it's South African, basically a giant armored personnel carrier, right-hand drive, hot.
Yeah.
But it has two turrets. I was lead gunner in the turret. And as we were going just right about the cross swords, you hear that boom.
Yeah.
And people don't understand, when a car bomb goes off, you hear it everywhere, We immediately, flipped a bitch, started heading back, and you could hear the radio already going off. And so we knew we were going into a hot venue.
Did you hear the gunfire? Could you distinct? I think I really do feel AK-47 and PKM gunfire is distinct. Did you hear that, or were you just hearing the small M4 and then some of the turret? And again, I don't get anybody in trouble. I just want you to tell me what you heard, because
honestly, on that one, I was in the turret. I had my peltors on.
Peltors on. Okay.
I had a hand mic, so my hand mic was mounted right here, so it would go right into my peltors speaker. I don't remember hearing any fire. Any shots fired or anything.
Okay.
I think they might have been in the vehicles getting everybody loaded up and stuff.
Sure.
When we got there, they told us to stay off the venue. So we stayed a couple 100 meters back. I could see the carcass of the V-bid in flames burning. And they said it was probably easier for them to, egress the venue and come to us. So they came to us. We put them in the center of us. So it was two armored personnel carriers, motorcade of Suburbans, and then our last two APCs. And we were making our way back. And I remember somebody yelling contact. I remember I had something to the left I had to engage. We had little birds overhead. So the secondary TST team had pushed out at the checkpoint to Nisour Square to lock it down for us. Mm-hmm. Next thing you know, we hear on the radio that they're in contact. And that's when I could hear all the firing going off. All the rounds going off. I heard them say vehicle down. We're going to attempt to tow it out, and I knew they were in contact. But of course, now we had a principal with us. So we had to circumnavigate back towards BIOP and come in on BIOP to get them back in the green zone. But then we came in to flank them because we thought they were still actively engaged. And it's funny because when I went to State Department, we had to sit down with some attorneys to talk about this. Why don't you ask Eric? He was there. And apparently the way I described it wasn't politically correct for the State Department, because basically I said we were going to flank them and we were going to come in and kill all the bad guys. And they're like, oh, you can't say kill. You have to say neutralize the threat or something. I was like, oh, no, we were dead set. We're going to kill these motherfuckers. But when we got there, the team actually was able to push out, and they were pushing out around the green zone, trying to come in back in to checkpoint 2 over by Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Sure.
So they were just skirting along the green zone.
Okay.
Well, we thought maybe we were in the wrong spot because I didn't see any bodies laying everywhere, and I'm in a stacks. I'm in the highest point of this.
And you expect to see, especially that quick on, because if with that amount of gunfire, you expect to see some carnage. You expect to see dead. You expect to see people neutralized around. And that's what I get you. I mean, I'm following you because that's sort of most like that's what I heard as well from some of the senior guys like yourself that were there. I get it, guys. I get it when you're in turmoil, you panic and you do panic. But I've seen panic fire go on too, and that's not a good thing either. But continue. Yeah, go ahead, brother. I'm sorry.
So I'm sitting there, but the one thing I noticed, is the Iraqi police that just kept mounting up. And I finally said, I just came over the internal comms and I said, is it just me or are they taking up fighting positions on us? And I'm sitting there and people are like, holy shit, I think you're right. Next thing you know, little birds are overhead and they said, yeah, they're reinforcing the rear with Dishkas. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, it's about to get on. And, like I said, 2007 was a very hairy year. A lot of ambushes. We went in getting people and stuff, a lot of firefights. And the one thing is, I've never been scared in a firefight or even getting into the firefight. You've got so much adrenaline. You hear your brothers in need, and you just want to get there and get in that fight so quick and do what you can to help and stuff. Well, that day, as I'm sitting in that turret of a Saxon where we don't have any blast shields
Yeah,
like
nothing.
I'm from the waist up with my level 4 body armor on me, and I'm looking at all these guns on me, and I'm like, oh, I'm dead.
Yeah.
And I leaned down in the turret to my A gunner, and I said, hey man, I said, I'm going 2 clicks to auto and dumping this mag in the fountain area of those guys. I said, and I'll try to get the 240 up as quickly as possible because we had it bungee corded so it wouldn't.
Yeah.
Those mounts we had sucked. And he's like, Roger that. I said, because I'm dead. And he says, Roger that. He says, I got the guy at your 6 with the PKM. And I look down, he's got his door cracked to the Saxon, his barrel out there facing this guy. And I turn around, I'm like, well, shit, man, I would have done a lot better not knowing he was back there too. That's just one more thing I think. I was like, but thanks, man, you got him. Yeah, it was a nasty day. So we thought we were going to be able to reverse out. They were going to let us through. Well, they let Chalk 3 and 4 back up, and then they threw this water buffalo truck in between us, basically dividing our forces. And we're like, it's getting ready to be on. So the talk just advised us to do a combat lockup. They put an Apache overhead to make sure none of the locals got froggy. And then big army arrived, and we ended up were able to push out of that. But that's when things got really nasty afterwards. They had to paint the vehicles and all the stuff, and all the accusations started getting made.
Did the IPs come in just because of that initial? I wouldn't even call it assault. Just that initial, where hell broke loose and some civilians got killed, and they brought them in because of that, or because they initially thought it was a bad shoot. And I wasn't there, guys. I don't know if it was a bad or good shoot, or if it was somewhere in the middle. A lot of times it's somewhere in the middle. It's
somewhere in the middle.
Yep. Is that when they were just pissed off for like, because come on, give them credit, give us credit. We probably would have done the same thing. If an Iraqi shot up and even they did it on accident, we probably would bring out the same guys. Like, all right, motherfuckers, that's fine. Is that what you want? We're going to bring out all of our guns too. Let's have at it. What was your opinion on that when you saw it and when you got back? What were you thinking, your ARs and what was going through your head?
Bro, from what I understand, it all started with a vehicle that refused to stop, which happened,
all the time.
And it was basically because of that inshallah mentality. I'm not paying attention, and the vehicle was engaged. Unfortunately, driver ended up getting killed.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
But the thing about it was, and I'm going off of what I was told, is a police officer got behind the car and started pushing it. At that point, 40 millimeter HEDP round was sent to the car, and that's what ignited everything.
Did it hit the IP as well, or the IP?
Well, it hit the car, so I think I don't know.
But there's no report of, because that was never said an IP was involved with any. That's the terrible thing about our media too. It never said in the media that an Iraqi police officer got behind and basically pushing that car forward into the kill zone, or which turns into a kill zone if you don't respect my onion, guys. Back the fuck up.